That's excellent to hear you've got those greenhouses. We have another caller from area code 573. Laura, the caller's live. Laura? Oh, I think maybe we lost Laura. Okay. It's great to hear that this gentleman is doing these greenhouses. Will, do you have any greenhouses?
No, I don't have a farm anymore. I actually live in a city at present, but I used to have a farm, and greenhouses are even fine to a point, but unless you do some supplementation, air still has to get in there, and I found out if you don't feed even a hydroponic system extra elements and minerals and microorganisms, even those plants are diminished. The food chain of today is so diminished, like Drake was saying, and they knew this back in 1936. They read a document into the Senate library, into the record, that stated that the minerals were so deficient back in the 30s. They knew this back in 1917, a report that I saw. They knew this, and it's even worse today. And the minerals content of the food is so diminished. The science of today is saying we need at least 60 different minerals in our diet. The best organic food you can buy today has less than 20. Wow. So without supplementation, you're basically not going to achieve any real health.
Well,
and that's why I recommend supplementation in extreme amounts.
We have Monsanto all over Ohio. We have these little signs with their different kind of corn that they're growing, and I'm fairly certain it's all GMO. And what they're just sloshing the soil, aren't they? The farmers who use the Monsanto. I mean, what are they doing with all this corn for ethanol to the soil?
Well, they're just using basically the soil as a medium to hold the plant, and they're hydroponically growing. Where I come from, up in northern Minnesota, my father had 3,000 acres, and all of it was irrigated. So the soil, which was basically below sand, was just, they were raising potatoes, corn, and beans hydroponically in essence, and dumping in just a few minerals to make it green and produce poundage, because everything was sold by the pound or volume. There was no nutritional, they weren't selling it because of the nutritional content.
Well, have you seen The World According to Monsanto?
Yes, a while ago.
I mean, it seems that they had South American farmers even that Monsanto was driving off the land.
There's probably more conventional agriculture going on in South America than in North America right now.
Oh, really?
They've been down there since the 50s, 60s. They started infiltrating down there.
Oh, my gosh. Well, listen, we have another caller, Laura. Laura, you're live. Did we lose Laura again?
Hello?
Yes, Laura, you're live.
Okay. What about, I wanted to ask Drake, what about the digital money and the physical gold and silver values? What's going to happen to that? And
digital money is all well and good, but you got to remember that's part of the way the system that is in place now works. Some of the digital funds are okay, but to be honest with you, I would look at investing in a combination of things that I know Mr. Spencer provides that can cause you to weather the storm. In other words, if you don't have a garden and you're not in a position to grow one, you're going to need to figure something out. And Will does have a lot of the answers to those sorts of questions. Your pricing is going to be revalued. It's all going to be going from a debt orientation to an equities orientation. That's a completely different world, so no one can really make a good guess or a good estimate as to exactly where it'll go. But I'm going to say this again. Money ain't going to mean squat if you ain't got something to eat. Just right. So hope that answers the question.
Okay. Can I ask one more question? What about the local militias? We contacted our local members just from your last show and wanted to find out who would be a contact for them or what contact they'd use to help when the plan comes into the works.
I'm in touch with probably 60 different militias, some nationwide, some local. It varies a little bit. What's going to happen is everybody will get notified. And by that I mean I'm going to hit the send button to probably 10, 20 at a time. We're supposed to be notified that the thing is supposed to happen or in process ahead of time. This means you'll be able to prepare before the public mass arrests happen. And that's all well and good. But you got to remember, none of this is going to do any good if you're not able to be self-supportive. You got to remember how much food we import. You got to remember that everybody's going to have to grow a garden, and you need to learn how to do so now. You need to put one in this year so you can figure out what kind of mistakes you're going to make in the process. And believe me, even if you're good, you're going to screw something up or step on the wrong thing or whatever and have problems. You learn from these things so that you don't do it the following year. You learn a little more, and it gets better as you go. But you're going to have to learn to be a lot more self-sufficient. The idea of the convenience is going to go in the trash. It has to.
So you think bartering is probably going to come into play a lot more until things settle down?
Absolutely. You're going to have a period of time where money is going to mean a whole lot. It's what can you do for me, what you got to trade. If somebody needs water and you got a well that works real great, then you're in good shape. If you got food and somebody has a particular tool that you might have need of, then you got a trade going on. You don't have to have a cash-oriented economy like we do now. We've been set into consumerism, and that's where Monsanto comes in with the idea of being able to take over consumerism through genetic engineering. This is one of the major problems on the whole planet right now. This stuff, not only does it screw up honeybees, but it screws the soil up. It also has a shelf life, and I'm going to elucidate on that. You got things that are called like corn borers. Problem with it is that these corn borers mutate. They adapt. You can dump gas on them over a period of time. They'll get used to it, and it won't bother them. That means that you got a shelf life on each one of these genetically modified foods of 3 to 5 years max, sometimes a lot less than that. And all of a sudden the corn borers go eat the corn anyway. So the idea that you can grow your own in such a way that it's impervious to anything is ridiculous. That's somebody's imagination and a way for Monsanto to make a lot of money, basically. And so we have to address that in a proactive manner. You don't need to be confrontatory about a problem. You simply find the answers to it and address it. This is similar to what we're doing in the process with the country and what Will has done in terms of his research and what he knows about taking care of the problems ecologically, as well as your own good health and honeybees and whatever.
We have another call for you, Drake. This is area code 813. It's Yvonne, I believe. Yvonne, you're on live.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Drake, once more. Well, I had one question. Now I have two. But the first one was just very basically because I'm sure people in their own local communities are going to be interested in knowing the mass arrests. Is that going to possibly involve states' attorneys and the local politicians and those sort of people?
It'll involve everybody that's dirty.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next caller, and we'll take one more caller for Drake, and then if people want to talk to him, he will be available on Sunday at the 6 p.m. program. What is this last call for Drake?
Thank you.
Caller, you're live.
Hello?
Yes. Is this Yvonne?
It's actually for Mr. Spencer.
Oh, okay. Great. Go ahead.
Okay, it has to do with the bees. Isn't the chemtrails and the
HARP has a lot to do with the bees disappearing because it messes up, because of the waves and all that, is messing up. They lose track of direction of coming back to the hives. And then number two, with the chemtrails and the soil messing up, wouldn't it be good to have a greenhouse to grow your own food and put the right dirt with the nutrients in it?
Ultimately, I would say the greenhouse is your best opportunity for better food. But the chemtrail and HARP thing is, in my opinion, is not the largest contributing factor. It's the malnutrition state of the bee and the chemicals.
So
but
the
yes,
spraying on the where they get the pollen is messed up.
No, the plants themselves, they're genetically modified to produce their own pesticides. Plus, they're spraying more pesticides on the plants themselves. Not only that, we're having the pollen that's produced by the plants is so malnutrition, the bees just do not have nourishment. It's no different than the humans. We're in the same situation. The bees are just like the canary in the coal mine. It's just that they're a lot smaller and more sensitive to the frequencies and to the diminishment of nourishment out of the food that we're seeing such devastation. In the human realm, we have such epidemics going on. It's just because the human body is such a great machine at compensating for problems that it's able to still survive and not do the same thing the bees are doing.
So the DNA is being messed up on the bees and on the humans because of the GMOs.
I didn't hear that. Can you repeat that, please?
I said with the genetic modified food and plants, not only is it messing up our DNA, it's messing up the bees' DNAs, and eventually the bees will die out in the future. Correct?
Well, it's messing with every living organism on the planet. And I'd gladly go into the genetic modification thing because everything, the animals, the plants, the insects, the humans, everybody's DNA is affected. I mean, Bruce Lipton's been talking this way for 30 years. You change the environment, you change the gene expression. And I believe that's at the root of what's going on globally right now is the cabal is altering the environment to such an extent it's altering everybody's genetic makeup. Bees, animals, plants, humans, everything. Because we all live here.
Also, I heard that the Monsanto and companies like that their seeds, and when it's growing, their plants and food and all that the chemtrails do not affect it. It's resistant to the chemtrails, where the regular plants, like what we're growing, all that, eventually dies out, and the ground is all messed up from the chemicals spraying from the sky coming down into the soil.
That's partly correct. They have engineered their plants to resist the metals and chemicals. And I've got reports last summer that some friends of mine around the country that are raising organics, they got hardly any production. But my friends that are using our products that we provide, that we manufacture, didn't have any issues at all. Actually, their Brix readings were way higher last year, even though there's chemicals and everything else going on with the environment. The secrets, from my view, is we're seeing an onslaught of chemicals and synthetic biologicals, as well as chemicals, metals, and so forth, altering the biology in the soil. But
how can we get a hold of what you're doing, or is there something on your site that we can get a hold of what you're doing, or
Well, right now you'd have to email me because I had to fire my web guy, so my websites, they're not quite finished yet to be up on the web. But you can send me an email by all means, either through Freedom Reigns, or you can send one directly to me at Will, WIL,